Put that camera away, son. You're gonna give away my hunting spot. Well, look at what we just found. Do you know what that is?
A tree.
Yeah,
An
but
oak
what?
tree.
Yeah, and what does it have on it?
Acorns. Oh, I see him up there.
Oh, do ya? Whoop. Saw this on the ground.
No, there's on the ground.
What'd you see?
Big old turkey tracks.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this place is just a haven of some sorts now, isn't it? That's a really good oak tree too. We're out here scouting today, and we found two pretty big oak trees. I know this one for sure is producing acorns. I can see them all over the place, and there's also some branches that have fallen where you can see the acorns. So that's a really good sign. This other one I can't really tell, so I'm gonna get my binoculars and see if it's producing as well. It does not look like it is producing, but it's okay. So I wonder, like, maybe like back that way might be a good spot to hunt, because there's a little trail here, and then like it all kind of intersects right here. Plus there's that oak tree with acorns. So pretty good scouting mission thus far. We haven't really been able to like sit over a field or anything because it's all corn. I'd really like to get some like IDs on some velvet bucks or something. It'd be really fun. But I mean, there's tons of deer tracks here. There's all the building blocks for a good place to hunt so far. And the special part about this place is it's archery only, except for muzzleloader season. But then it goes back to archery. So really cool place. And we're seeing acorns up on this tree, and then we see just a lot of traveled pathways and cool stuff. So when you're out here on public land, you want to look for stuff like this, because this is what sets it apart from other places on public land, because there's food and there's good travel corridors and there's cover. So really cool area, but we still got to keep searching because there might be some better places. All right, so we just walked about 50 yards down the pathway and we saw tons more deer tracks. So basically what I'm thinking is this thick stuff is probably a bedding area of some kind. They come out in this cornfield here for food, and then they go in this super thick stuff over here to go bed down, which I can turn the camera around and show you guys. Yeah, like super thick over in here. And just tons of deer tracks like in between the cornfield and the super thick stuff. So definitely a bedding area over there. So super cool, and we're just gonna keep moving. Before I move on to the next point of the video, I kind of wanted to stress some of the importance of driving around the public land as well. A lot of people like to focus on boots on the ground, scouting all the land out, but something that is just as important, if not more important, is looking at all the different access points and figuring out where our hunters might be entering this public land, because that'll give you a better idea of where people are going to be come hunting season, and that way you can avoid those people. As we started going down the pathway, we started to see a lot more boot tracks and human sign than we did in the other parts, and that's because we started getting closer to a road, and you'll hear me talk about that later in the video. But another really important part about driving around is you get to see everything that is bordering the public land. And so, for instance, a lot of what was bordering this public land was a bunch of houses, like a suburban neighborhood type, and there were deer everywhere. And in almost every single video clip, right behind those houses is public land. We also had deer in fields, and right behind it was public land, literally 50 yards away, maybe even less in some instances. And to be even more specific, those houses were right next to the spots that I was showing you, where the deer tracks were, where that cover was, where those oak trees were, where the cornfields were. All that stuff is right next to those houses, and you can see deer walking around by those houses. And my question for you is, where do you think they're bedding? Because they're not going to be bedding out in the open. They're going to be bedding in that thick stuff in the public. And odds are hunters aren't going to be in that because it's really hard to get to. So essentially what I want you to take away from this is it's really important to scout your surroundings, drive around, glass as much as you can. And in a lot of places you might feel like you can't do it, and for me it's almost the same way, but there's these select moments in Tennessee and in the eastern states where, you know, there might be an open field, there might be, you know, something, and that's a really good place to look. And even for me, like just going around in neighborhoods that are backed up to public land, you'll see a lot of deer. We're about finished scouting the area out, so the next step for me is I'm going to do some driving and look at all the different roads and different access points to this area so I can get a better idea of how many people are going to be here come hunting season. So what you want to look for is easy places to park on the side of the road, basically. Especially like in this area, there's only one actual access point to get into this piece of public, but there's a road farther down that borders and actually goes straight through the center of the public land, and that's why we started seeing boot prints as we got farther down. But in this area, it is a little bit more remote and a little bit harder to get to. So I think if we keep going that way, which is opposite of the road, we'll encounter an area that really isn't touched by humans at all, and we should probably have some success this year. I'm not super experienced, but from the stuff that I've learned over the past couple years now of hunting public land, I realized that the best way to achieve success is to just put in the time and the effort and get a game plan together, and you'll start seeing some success. I've yet to take an animal on public land, but I've came pretty close, and that's all my doing, all by myself without any prior knowledge. So hopefully these tips help you, and hopefully you're more successful than I am. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to never stop craving adventure.